If there's one product that's caused more engine heartbreak than most of the competition combined, it's cataclysm. On paper, it sounds like a miracle. Passing emissions tests, boosting fuel economy, restoring catalytic converters. Over 10,000 users have sworn it transformed their cars. But here's the part they don't put on the label. Cataclysm is a chemical sledgehammer. With xylene, acetone, and isopropyl alcohol in its mix, it doesn't just loosen carbon buildup, it rips it off in chunks. And those chunks? They don't magically vanish. They get jammed deep in your catalytic converter, foul your spark plugs, and confuse your O2 sensors until your dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree. The check engine light isn't a maybe here, it's a matter of when. Some owners end up paying over $2,000 for a replacement cat, all because the cleaner worked too well. That's the ugly truth. It can be effective in newer or well-maintained engines as a preventative measure. But in high mileage or worn cars, it's like using a sledgehammer for brain surgery. And yet, cataclysm isn't the only wolf in sheep's clothing. The next cleaner on this list is one most people think is safe, but under the wrong conditions, it can quietly destroy your engine from the inside out. They look harmless. A small bottle, a few bucks, and a promise to remove water or restore performance. And technically, they can, but alcohol-loaded cleaners, especially isopropyl alcohol, IPA, come with hidden risks that can quietly wreck an engine. Sure, IPA will absorb water in your fuel lines. That's why some people swear by it during winter or after bad gas. It's also a strong solvent, so it can lift some of the deposits inside your injectors. But here's the catch. Alcohol doesn't dissolve stubborn carbon buildup the way PEA does. Instead, it loosens debris just enough to send it floating downstream, where it can clog your injectors at the worst possible time. And the damage doesn't stop there. Alcohol can dry out and crack rubber seals, shrink O-rings, and degrade plastic components. It can even cause spark plug fouling. But the most dangerous side effect? Lean running conditions. Alcohol changes the fuel-air balance, pushing your engine to run hotter, knock more, and, in extreme cases, melt pistons. That's a $5,000 repair bill waiting to happen. In small controlled doses, alcohol has its place, like removing water from a contaminated tank. But as a regular cleaner, it's like using sandpaper to polish glass. The surface might shine for a moment, until it shatters. And speaking of cheap shortcuts that look like a good idea, wait until you hear about the next additive. One that's been sitting on store shelves for decades, quietly diluting gasoline and damaging engines in ways most drivers never notice, until it's too late. If you've ever cracked open a cheap bottle of injector cleaner and caught that sharp, oily smell, there's a good chance you were sniffing kerosene. It's a favorite among budget brands because it's cheap, blends easily with gasoline or diesel, and, on paper, acts as a mild solvent. The problem? Mild doesn't cut it when you're dealing with stubborn, baked-on carbon deposits. Mixed into a full tank of gas, kerosene barely cleans anything. But it does manage to do a few things remarkably well, all of them bad. First, it lowers the octane rating of your fuel. That means your engine's more likely to knock. A violent, uncontrolled combustion that can hammer pistons and valves into scrap. Let it go long enough, and you're staring at an engine rebuild that can top $10,000. Second, kerosene dilutes gasoline, which leads to incomplete combustion. Instead of burning cleaner, your engine ends up creating even more carbon buildup, especially on spark plugs, making the problem worse than before. And in cold weather, good luck starting your car without a fight. Here's the kicker. The price difference between a quality, PEA-based cleaner and this kerosene cocktail is often just a few bucks. But choosing wrong can turn that savings into a 5-figure repair bill. Still, kerosene isn't the only pretender hiding behind a trusted name. In fact, the next additive has been hyped for nearly a century, praised for what it can do. But the one thing it can't do might be the reason your injectors stay filthy forever. For almost 100 years, Marvel Mystery Oil has been a staple in garages and toolboxes. Ask around and you'll hear glowing praise. It quieted my engine, smoothed out my idle. Been using it for decades. And the thing is, most of those stories are true. But here's the twist. MMO was never designed to clean fuel injectors. Its real strength lies in lubrication. Mixed with fuel or oil, it coats the upper cylinders, fuel pump, and injectors, helping to reduce friction and prevent wear. It can even keep sludge from forming in your oil system. That's great for keeping a healthy engine healthy. But it's not the same as scrubbing away carbon. If your injectors are already caked in years of baked-on deposits, MMO won't touch them. It's like waxing over dirt. Sure, it might shine for a second, but the grime's still there underneath. Used regularly in a newer, well-maintained engine, MMO can help slow the buildup of carbon. But if you're expecting it to reverse years of neglect, you'll be disappointed. Without PEA, it's simply not a true cleaner. No matter what internet miracle additive lists might say. And while MMO's biggest crime is simply not doing the job you think it will, the next product on this list takes it a step further. It doesn't just fail to clean injectors. It can actively damage your fuel system from the inside out. On the surface, ethanol-based cleaners sound like a smart match. After all, most pump gas already contains ethanol, so why not use more of it to scrub your fuel system? The problem is, ethanol is a double-edged sword. Yes, it's a powerful solvent. It can strip away varnish, gum, and sludge faster than many cheap additives. But it also comes with a built-in flaw. Ethanol is hygroscopic, meaning it attracts and absorbs water from the air. That water doesn't just sit harmlessly in your tank. It accelerates corrosion inside your fuel lines, injectors, and even your tank itself. And like other weak cleaners, ethanol doesn't dissolve heavy carbon deposits. It knocks them loose. Those freed up chunks have only one place to go, straight toward your injectors, fuel filters, or catalytic converter. From there, you could be looking at repair bills from a few $100s all the way up to $5,000. It gets worse. Ethanol shortens fuel life, making stored fuel go bad faster. And because ethanol contains oxygen, it changes your fuel-to-air ratio. Your engine's computer can't always adjust quickly enough, which can lead to lean running, overheating, and piston damage. For cars built before 2000, ethanol-based cleaners are a hard never. And here's the kicker. One of the best cleaners on the market actually shares this short shelf life problem. But unlike ethanol-based blends, it works so well that it's worth the extra caution. Before we get there, let's talk about another global name that many drivers trust, but whose fuel injector cleaner has a dark side that rarely gets mentioned. Abro is one of those brands that pops up everywhere. From gas stations to discount auto parts stores. And plenty of drivers swear it's a hidden gem. But when you dig into what's actually in the bottle, the picture changes fast. Instead of packing in a proven detergent like PEA, Abro's main ingredient is number 2 gas oil, essentially diesel fuel. Sure, it's a solvent, and yes, it can break up some carbon deposits, but it doesn't dissolve them. That means a portion of the loosened gunk stays behind, floating around in your fuel system until it finds a filter, an injector, or some other sensitive part to clog. Worse still, diesel fuel was never designed for cleaning gasoline systems. Its heavier composition can actually gum up filters, contribute to a richer or leaner mixture, and leave your fuel economy unchanged, or even worse than before. And while Abro claims it can dissolve gum and varnish, that's marketing, not mechanical reality. Diesel simply isn't made for that job. Over time, using it as a cleaner could lead to the very symptoms you were trying to fix: rough idles, sluggish acceleration, and reduced efficiency. The truth? Abro might be a global name, but when it comes to injector cleaning, it belongs in the same bin as the bargain basement bottles. And the next product proves that even legendary names with decades of trust can still miss the mark when it comes to doing the one job you bought them for. Few fuel additives have a fan base as loyal as Seafoam. It's been around since 1942, trusted by mechanics, boaters, and gearheads for everything from cleaning carburetors to de-icing fuel lines. The brand's history gives it almost legendary status. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Seafoam does a lot of things well, except clean fuel injectors. That's because it doesn't contain PEA, the only detergent proven to break down tough, baked-on carbon deposits inside injectors. Instead, Seafoam relies on a mix of naphtha and isopropyl alcohol, effective for light cleaning, oil system flushing, and lubricating moving parts, but far too weak for injector deep cleaning. In two-stroke engines, like outboards or motorcycles, Seafoam can work wonders. But in modern four-stroke cars and trucks, it often does little more than loosen small surface deposits. And here's the risk. Once loosened, those particles don't vanish. They travel through your system, with the potential to block injectors, fuel filters, or even your catalytic converter. The silver lining? At least Seafoam won't destroy your engine the way some harsher additives can. But if you're expecting a dramatic before and after for your injectors, you'll likely be disappointed. And that brings us to the final worst list contender, a type of cleaner so cheap and tempting that millions buy it without thinking, only to find out it can do catastrophic damage in the name of saving a few bucks. They sit on the bottom shelf at department stores, usually with a price tag that makes you think, why not? $3, a splash in the tank, and you're promised smoother idles, better mileage, maybe even restored power. But here's the hard truth. A $3 chemical cocktail isn't going to magically bring your engine back to factory performance. In fact, it can leave you with a much bigger bill than you bargained for. The problem is simple. These bargain cleaners almost never contain PEA, the gold standard detergent that actually dissolves stubborn carbon deposits. Instead, they're loaded with low-grade solvents, like kerosene or alcohol. At best, these can strip away light surface grime. At worst, they knock loose large chunks of debris that go barreling through your fuel system until they jam an injector, clog a filter, or choke your catalytic converter. That last one alone can run you $2,500 to replace. Some of these cheap blends even contain chemicals like monoethanolamine, which can attack the nylon in your fuel lines. That's another $1,000 repair waiting in the wings. Sure, you might get a temporary improvement, Maybe the idle smooths out, or a check engine light flickers off. But the damage builds in the background, waiting for the perfect moment to strand you. And here's the kicker. One of the most popular and trusted fuel injector cleaners on the market is guilty of this exact same flaw, and it's not even on the bottom shelf. Now that we've exposed the worst offenders, it's time to flip the script and reveal the cleaners that actually work, the ones mechanics trust, and the single bonus method that might just beat them all. When it comes to name recognition, Lucas Oil is near the top of the game. They've been in the additive business for nearly 40 years, and their products are stocked in just about every auto parts store in America. Their Deep Clean Fuel System Cleaner is a fan favorite, and for good reason. Unlike the snake oil bottles we just tore apart, Lucas actually includes PEA in its formula. That means it can break down carbon deposits in your injectors. On top of that, it's loaded with lubricating agents that help protect the fuel pump, carburetor, and injectors from wear. This makes it especially good for people who use additives regularly, since it's gentle enough to keep in your tank without fear of doing damage. That gentleness is both a blessing and a limitation. Because Lucas isn't packed with sky-high concentrations of PEA, it's not going to completely revive an engine that's been neglected for years. But for routine maintenance and keeping light deposits from turning into big problems, it's one of the safest bets on the market. The bonus here? You can be a little sloppy with how you use it. If you add a bit too much, or leave it in the tank longer than planned, your engine isn't going to pay the price. That peace of mind is worth something, especially for drivers who aren't meticulous about timing their treatments. But if you are dealing with high mileage and heavy deposits, you'll want something stronger, which is exactly what the next product brings to the table. If your odometer has rolled past 75,000 miles and you've never touched a fuel injector cleaner, this is where you start. Gum Out Regain High Mileage isn't just marketing hype. It's built for older engines that have years of carbon buildup slowing them down. What makes it effective is its higher concentration of PEA compared to everyday cleaners like Lucas. That extra punch means it can dig deeper into injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers, stripping away the baked-on deposits that rob your engine of performance. The result? Restored horsepower, smoother idles, and, just as importantly, regained fuel economy. One of Gumut Regane's biggest strengths is honesty. It doesn't promise 25% better mileage or other wild claims. Instead, it focuses on restoring what your car has lost over time. And because it reduces friction in the upper cylinder, it can also quiet knocking and lower engine noise. There's another hidden benefit too. It conditions your fuel to fight back against ethanol's corrosive effects. That means less risk of rust, water damage, or premature wear inside your fuel system. At its price point, you can easily earn back the cost in fuel savings alone. But while Regain is perfect for breathing life back into a high-mileage engine, the next cleaner is built for long-term maintenance. And you won't even need to use it more than a few times a year. If you hate constantly remembering to add fuel system cleaner every few thousand miles, Royal Purple Max Clean might be your new favorite. This isn't a product you need to pour in every oil change. One treatment can last up to 10,000 miles. Its secret? A stronger PEA concentration than most over-the-counter cleaners, combined with a formula designed to not just clean injectors, but also restore lost horsepower, improve fuel economy, and cut harmful emissions like hydrocarbons, NOx, and CO. That makes it a go-to choice for drivers who care about performance and the environment. Max Clean's versatility is another selling point. It works with gasoline, diesel, ethanol blends, and even biodiesel. That's why it's popular with fleet managers who need one cleaner that works across an entire range of vehicles. And because it's more concentrated, it dissolves deposits more thoroughly, helping prevent knocking and rough running. There's even a bonus use. You can mix a bit into fuel before long-term storage to keep it from degrading. That means your engine will fire up smoother months later with fewer issues. But while Royal Purple delivers a strong, reliable clean, the next product on this list goes all in with the highest concentration of PEA you can buy. A formula so potent that it demands precise use to avoid side effects. If there's a heavyweight champion of PEA concentration, Redline SI1 wears the belt. Packing an industry-leading 30% to 50% PEA, it's one of the most aggressive fuel system cleaners you can pour into your tank. This isn't just about injectors. SI1 goes after carbon, gum, and varnish in injectors, carburetors, intake valves, and even combustion chambers. The payoff? Restored horsepower, recovered miles per gallon, smoother acceleration, and a noticeable drop in emissions like hydrocarbons, NOx, and CO. For engines that have been neglected, few products can deliver a deeper clean in a single treatment. But that power comes with responsibility. SI1 must be used exactly as directed. Fill your tank properly, run it down completely, and don't overdose. Get sloppy with the instructions, and you could end up with engine hesitation or drivability issues. It's not that the cleaner fails, it's that it's so potent that misuse can cause temporary side effects. Used correctly, though, SI1 is a monster at preventing future buildup too. Many enthusiasts treat with Redline once or twice a year, knowing that the high PEA load will keep their injectors and intake valves spotless between uses. Still, there's a reason it lands at number 2. Because the next product might not match its raw PEA concentration, but it's backed by a fuel industry giant, trusted by automakers, and safe for any vehicle, from brand new to beat up and high mileage. When it comes to brand trust and proven results, Chevron's Techron Concentrate Plus sits at the top of the food chain. Backed by one of the biggest oil companies in the world, this formula has been tested, recommended, and used by major automakers and fleet managers for years. Its secret weapon is Chevron's patented PEA technology. Not the highest concentration on the market, but an incredibly effective blend that breaks down stubborn carbon deposits, cleans injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers, and keeps them clean for miles to come. Unlike some harsh cleaners, Techron works safely in both low and high mileage vehicles, and it's even gentle enough for brand new engines. One standout feature? Techron can fix certain fuel gauge issues caused by sulfur buildup, something very few cleaners can claim. And while it's a bit pricier than most over-the-counter options, its one-and-done effectiveness often means you only need a single treatment to notice a difference. It's also one of the most versatile cleaners on the market, compatible with gasoline, ethanol blends, and direct injection systems, without risking damage to seals, sensors, or catalytic converters. For many, this is the safe bet fuel system cleaner. Powerful enough to work, gentle enough to trust. But here's the twist. Even Techron's success can't beat the ultimate preventative.